Jet Setters, welcome back to another video. Thanks for joining in, and I really appreciate it if you can just give a thumbs up and subscribe, and that tell a friend. Tell them that this Dirty Socks, he does all sorts of videos. Anyway, this one's going to be a little bit different. Just a little bit of interest, what tickles me fancy a little bit. It's about some aeroplanes. And my interest of aeroplanes goes back, well, I've got two brothers that used to fly. One's Ian and the other one's Roger. He joined the RAF and he left the RAF and still flying, and he went doing crop dusters and had his own planes, all that sort of stuff. So I've got a little bit of interest there through planes, and I do like history anyway. So he said to me, Greg, we've got doing up a plane over here called the UIVER, and he said it's a Dutch aeroplane and it comes second in the Great Race in 1934. I thought, oh yeah, why the UIVER, why is there so much interest? He said, well, we're restoring it, one over here. Every rivet, every bolt, every part's going to be pulled apart and put back together. He said, I know you like planes and that type of thing, engineering type of stuff, so do you want to come over and have a look? I said, bloody oath. So I've gone over there, I've taken the camera, and I want to take you guys in the where they're doing it. I think there's about 20 people total. That's from people hands-on stuff to help other people helping with the logistics and getting parts and publicising it involved. So about 20 all up, might be more. And also the clubs what's involved, the Rotaries, and people have donated tools. I think Rotaries are a pretty big one. But anyway, DC2 is in the Great Race. It comes second. I'll start again. The Great Race in 1934. Geez, I hope I get that right. Left London to Australia. And the UIVER, the KLM UIVER, which is a Dutch airlines, they carried passengers and also mail, and they come second. And they had to land because they got ice on the wings. Then they took off and still come into Laverton Airport, Melbourne, and still come second. And they did have a really hot plane in behind them, but still got second, but come first in their class. Anyway, I'll roll this bit of film, bit of footage I've got for you. I'll let the credits roll as well, so everyone gets their due credits. Then I'll just put up some other footage along the way and talk about, show you some of the people who I've spoken to, got some photos from, and yeah. So if you're into planes, into a little bit of history, hang back and sit back and enjoy the video. It's not too bad. And please, give us a thumbs up, like, subscribe, share. My videos aren't all on motorbikes, caravannings or planes. They vary.
Home of the National Luftfahrt Themapark Aviodrome, a place where memories are preserved and dreams inspired. And home of one of the last DC-2s still in flying condition. The aircraft is painted in the markings of one of the most famous Dutch aircraft, the UIVER. Teams from around the world had gathered at the RAF base in Mildenhall. 60,000 people come to see the start of the race. First off are Amy and Jim Mullison in the DH-88 Comet Black Magic. Next is Roscoe Turner flying the Boeing 247. Then the Pandar S4 gets away. The UIVER is the 7th plane to start. For a short while, the passengers are able to see other competitors flying alongside them as they all race for the coast. The passengers marvel at how fast and far they are going. There was a small galley at the rear of the cabin. The purser, Prins, served as cook and steward. The first meal served was a Dutch delicacy, smoked eel. The pilot, Parmentier, comes and announces a change in plans. They're going to pass by Marseille and go straight to Rome. So instead of going around the Alps, they have to find a way through them. Landing at Rome will be the first of 19 stops made during the race. Almost all of the stops will follow the same pattern. Landing on an unpaved field. On average, each stop only lasted 30 minutes. Crowds of reporters and autograph seekers would greet them. 235 gallons of fuel and 7 gallons of oil. Soon the UIVER is back in the air, heading southeast. At night, the seats were converted into beds. The UIVER makes its way across the Indian subcontinent. The wireless radio gives updates on the weather and the other planes still in the race. They learn about the Pandar S4 crashing during its takeoff from Allahabad. And that Roscoe Turner is right behind them and closing fast. The rest of the world is following the race on their radios as well.
And now for the news.
Each one is asked to say a few words for the radio. Everyone is keenly aware that they are flying over shark-infested waters. A few days later, while flying over the same stretch of ocean, Jimmy Melrose runs out of fuel. And has to make a dead stick landing at Port Darwin. Navigating across the vastness of the Northern Territory proves difficult, because landmarks were few and far between. While refueling at Cloncurry, they get the word that Scott and Campbell have reached Melbourne and have won the speed portion of the race. But the race isn't over. There is still the handicapped race to be won. With Melbourne just a short ways ahead, they run into severe thunderstorms. Captain Parmentier tries to fly over and around the storms, but runs into icing conditions instead. Ice flying off the propellers pounds the fuselage. Losing altitude, the UIVER turns back. The storm disrupts radio communication with the ground. Signalers at the RAAF base in Laverton realize that the UIVER is in trouble. They send messages to towns and stations along the route to be ready to assist. The crew can see the lights of a town below them. But which town? The people in the town know that it's the UIVER flying above. But how do they contact it? Someone gets the brilliant idea to use the town's streetlights to spell out the town's name in Morse code. And a Mr. Lyle Ferris made it happen. The crew sees the flashing lights, realizes that it's Morse code, but because of turbulence, never quite read it all. Arthur Newnham goes on the air at the local radio station, 2CO, and urges people with cars and trucks to go to the local racetrack. About 80 cars and trucks hurry to the racetrack. They line up along the east and west sides of the track. From Albury to Amsterdam, the world rejoices at the safe landing of the UIVER. The UIVER has sunk into the rain-soaked turf up to its axles. The crew asks Cecil Meredith to take charge of getting the plane onto firmer ground. To lighten the plane for takeoff, seats, luggage, passengers, 2 crew, and over 25,000 pieces of mail are unloaded. They'll make the 1-hour trip to Melbourne by train. Soon the UIVER is over Melbourne, being guided to the racetrack at Flemington.
Movie turn has already shown Scott and Black winning the air race.
And so ended the UIVER's part in the great Mac Robertson Air Trophy race.
I've been talking too much to Campbell Black the last 3 days. I've got quite husky. I've been roaring at him. He hasn't been roaring quite so much, so I'm going to get him to talk. I've never...
Movie turn has already shown Scott and Black winning the air race. Here are the runners-up landing 10.5 hours later. The Dutchman Moll and Parmentier, who said a word about the flight.
We had a very good trip all the way, except the last night, when we were, I should say, pinched by thunderstorms and couldn't reach Melbourne. But anyhow, we arrived here a little later.
Got my brother Roger here. He's ex-pilot, ex-RAFI.